Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily. As you just heard, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Welcome to the show, our free offering for FantasyGuru.com. Don't forget to go to FG, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner, get signed up for all the goodness that we have to offer, no matter what sport it is that you're looking to get covered. Again, I'm Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. You'll find me here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. You'll find Justin Fensterman here on Wednesday. So this show is Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We go about an hour, and we have some fun. We talk some sports. We usually talk baseball for the first half of the show, and then football for the second half, as we'll do here in a brief moment. I'll put up on the screen what we're planning on doing today. I'm trying to get in the middle of the screen here. For those people wondering what I'm talking about, I have a new stand-up desk. We talked about this, I think it was last week. So I'm trying to get all the machinations down correctly. You might think to yourself, Ray, I just type in Fantasy Sports Daily to my podcast network. Or Ray, I just go to FantasyGuru.com and click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. What do you mean if you're watching me? Well, we do have the ability to watch the show live and ask questions and comments, or you can watch on demand at any point. Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, on Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite, and on YouTube at YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork. You can watch the show live. You can watch the show on demand. You can comment, leave questions. As you can see here, John G says right now he's listening while on a run. We'll try not to say anything that makes you fall off course, John. I hate running. I played baseball and basketball my whole life. I hate running. I used to run sprints in the street to stay in shape. This is about 10 years ago, and I just stopped. Swimming, yes. Biking, yes. Hiking, yes. Running, more power to you, John. I just can't do it. But anyway, you can watch or listen to any of those three places, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter X, and leave comments that we can address as we just did throughout the show. What are we doing today? Here we go. Yeah, we got some things to talk about with Spencer Strider, George Kirby, Nick Kurtz, Jace Jung, Maysn, Winn, a lot of youngsters. Lane Thomas, Noelvi, Marte, Jake McCarthy, Gavin Sheets, Byron Stott, Max Meyer, Nick Lodolo, Robbie, Hunter Brown, and 4 pitchers to discuss. Oddly, one of those 4 guys continues to get some hate. I continue to see comments, and I don't understand it. So we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. In about 25, 30 minutes, we'll visit with Armando Marsal. He usually visits us on Tuesdays at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. We're going to get his final thoughts before the NFL draft. For those people wondering what the schedule is the rest of this week, again, we're here Monday through Friday here at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for this show. I'll be on with Jeff Mans tomorrow from 3 to 6 Eastern, as I always am, on the Elite Sports Show. That's on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. That's Monday through Friday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. I'm with Jeff on Wednesdays. And then Justin Fensterman and I are on Elite Sports Game Time. That's 8 to 10 Eastern, Monday through Friday. Now, last week we were at a different time. This week we only have 2 days. So Justin and I were on last night. We'll be on tonight. The next 3 nights is NFL draft coverage, because you all love the NFL so much. NFL draft coverage the next 3 nights. So starting next Monday, we'll finally get back to Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 Eastern on the Elite Sports Show Game Time with Justin and I. So that's the schedule there. That's the schedule here. That's what we're going to talk about today. Let's make a little bit of change. So I'm a little bit bigger, and let's talk about it. Spencer Strider. Now, remember yesterday we ended the show with me saying, hey, do we want to be in offensive-only leagues? What do you think? No one commented on it, so I guess no one wants to do it still. Spencer Strider beat the expectations for his return by a little bit. Not by much, by a couple weeks, which is great news. Checked every box. Everything was great. Dominated in the minors, went out and had a good effort his first time out in the bigs. Everything was good. Supposed to start today. He's not starting today. Why? He hurt himself yesterday while playing catch. Haven't seen a video. I don't know if there's one out there, because again, it was pregame. Strider was supposed to pitch today. Whatever throwing he was doing yesterday was basically a game of catch. And I jokingly said yesterday on the Elite Sports Game Time show, what was he doing, throwing 60, 65 miles an hour? He wasn't on a mound. He wasn't throwing a bullpen. He was just keeping his arm loose, right? And he hurt his hamstring. So now he's on the injured list. Ultimately for the Braves, they got to win games. They got to get to the playoffs. And it's been a slow start for this season. Obviously for them, they started out horribly. But they want, as we've discussed on the show, Strider to be pitching later in the year, into September and hopefully into October for them. So this is not necessarily a huge negative because, as we discussed with Strider, he's not throwing 170 innings this year. They're just not doing that. So it's not the end of the world for Strider's longevity and his ability to pitch late in the year to have him miss a couple of weeks now. We don't know how much time he's going to miss. I'm saying a couple of weeks because it seems relatively minor, but you never know. It's going to end up being a month. You never know. They're not going to bring him back if there's any concern about his leg because they don't want him to put added pressure on his arm, right? So this again, why we have issues with drafting pitching early. This is why it's difficult with pitchers when they get hurt because everything's connected, right? A base runner hurts his hamstring, he just doesn't run it. I mean, a hitter hurts his hamstring, he can still hit. He just doesn't run as hard on the base paths. A pitcher can't hurt a part of his body and do his job. So we'll see how long that Strider misses, but he hurt himself playing freaking catch. There it is. George Kirby. Will George Kirby save those people that had Spencer Strider? He will not. But we finally got an update with George Kirby. He's dealing with the shoulder issue. And this one is another one that was really interesting. He hurt his shoulder. The Mariners, excuse me, really downplayed this when it first happened. I was like, yeah, he hurt his shoulder. It'll be okay. Then we started hearing not dire news, but like concern out of camp in Seattle. And here we are. It's April 22nd. Yeah, April 22nd. It's April 22nd. And he's just now getting ready to face hitters. We'll do that this week. I mean, he's still a month away from returning for an injury that didn't even sound like when it first happened that necessarily was going to end up in an injury list stint. Now we're talking about him missing 6-7 weeks of the season. So I guess in total, this is positive news, right? Because obviously we've got a scenario where Kirby's progressing. He's going to face hitters this week. That'll be a big test. We'll get a report from him, to see how he does, and then we'll take it from there. But shoulder inflammation is going to end up costing him over 2 months, it looks like. It's a lot longer than we were kind of led to believe. But good news is he's moving in the right direction. Hopefully, whenever he returns, whether it's May 10th or May 25th, he's back to being George Kirby, a guy that throws 6 innings and gives you a quality start each time out, right? That would be a huge boost to squads across the land. We'll see. That's the hope and expectation right now. Whether it's a reality or not, again, we'll have to wait and see. Next up, Nick Kurtz. It's Nick Kurtz time for everybody. Everybody's, though I will say it this way, though it's Nick Kurtz time, did you see the fact that Nick Kurtz is actually not going to play today? Like, this is the thing. They call him up, and then they call him up in a scenario where they're going to face a lefty today, the Athletics, so it sounds like he's not even going to be in the lineup. Nick Kurtz is up. So here we go. For those people wondering when it was going to happen, it happened at least a month earlier than anyone expected, including myself. They appear to be comfortable enough with Rooker in the outfield that they're going to give this a go. Now, it's really interesting. I wrote about this yesterday in my Ramblings piece over at FG. Shea Langolier's offense has been fine, but his defense is starting to become a problem. I think he's allowed 24 steals on like 25 attempts, 26 attempts, something like that. I mean, teams are running wild, including the Brewers last time I had like 8 steals against him. It's not just him. It's the pitching staff and all that too. But that's untenable. You can't have a catcher who's got a caught stealing rate of 10%. Like, that can't do that, especially in this day and age where running is more prevalent than it has been at any point in the recent past. I wonder if the Athletics would consider putting Soderstrom at catcher a little bit more. Now, even if they did that, they probably shift Langoliers to the DH spot. So I don't know if it really changes anything. So the bottom line is, to me, that this, again, as we talked about last week, this all hinges on Brent Rooker's ability to play the outfield. Because, whether Langoliers or Soderstrom is catching, the other one's probably the DH with Nick Kurtz at first base and Rooker in the outfield. So here we go. The A's are rolling the dice here, which is odd for them. They're fast-forwarding his service time, Kurtz. I don't know if they think they can make the playoffs this year. Maybe they do. I don't think a lot of people share that aspirational thought. They're taking a risk with Rooker, putting him in the outfield for the reasons we talked about last week. But here we go. So if he's on the waiver wire, he's probably been added in the last 24 hours. If he's not, you can add Nick Kurtz. I don't anticipate him being out of the lineup much, though. This idea that he's not facing a lefty today, what's the projected lineup today? Let's look at this real quick. If I could learn how to scroll through. Patrick Corbin. Like, if you're not going to face Patrick Corbin, I couldn't remember the lefty pitcher. If you're not going to face Patrick Corbin, I know he was really good. It was great last time out, but it's Patrick freaking Corbin. So we'll see with Nick Kurtz. Jace Jung was somebody I wrote about yesterday, and this is a really fascinating scenario. We had a question. It was funny. We had a question in Discord, like it was 18 minutes after the news was announced. Y'all love your youngsters. Here's the issue. The Tigers have a bunch of players, and they're using everybody. All right. Kerry Carpenter's dealing with an injury. Parker Meadows is dealing with an injury. When those two guys are healthy, they're in the lineup on a daily basis, or at least against all the right-handed pitching, right? So that's two spots in the lineup that are just locked down. They've got Matt Vierling working his way back from a shoulder injury. He's going to be in the lineup some way, right? They've got McKinstry. He's going to be in the lineup some way. They've got Javier Baez. He's going to be in the lineup some way. So they got all these pieces, and the fact is they have too many pieces. Jace Jung is somebody that strikes out a moderate amount, walks a ton, really can get on base. And he's very attractive in a points league and on base percentage league as a result. But it's hard to know what his playing time is going to look like. It just, when Colt Keith is there, I mean, do they demote or bench Colt Keith? I didn't even bring his name up. Like, they've got all these pieces. So when everyone gets healthy, I don't know if Jung is even on the team. If you want to add him and take a shot, go for it. Down in the minor leagues, he was performing well. He had a 20% walk rate. Okay, last year he had a 360 on base percentage, even though he had a 31% K rate at the big league level. So again, he gets on base. Probably it's in the bottom third of the order. And when Vierling and Parker Meadows and Kerry Carpenter are healthy, things start to get tight in this lineup. So we'll see. I wouldn't be too aggressive with adding him at this point in time. Maysn Winn, my friend, somebody I was excited about when the season began. What am I clicking on? Was excited about when the season began, as I'm clicking every screen on my entire computer. Really thought that this guy had a chance to have a breakout campaign. They were talking about him stealing 30, 40 bases. Certainly could hit 15 home runs. He was going to be the leadoff hitter, as we know from doing this show and you being with me. All went to pot. Maysn Winn had a terrible spring. Started out terribly in the regular season. Been hitting ninth as a result. Doesn't look like he's getting back to the top spot in the lineup anytime soon. I guess the best hope would be he can move up to the number 2 spot, but it just hasn't happened. He's on the IL with a back issue. Now, the good news is the report yesterday suggested that it was likely that Winn is back today. So this would be a minimum stint on the injured list with that back issue. We'll see. Hopefully the time off allowed him to do some studying and some retrospection, or maybe he allowed him to clear his head, whatever it might be. And he'll return to being the good offensive player he was in the second half last year. Hopefully the back issue is a minor thing to the point where it doesn't preclude him from running, because obviously a lot of his value will be generated that way, especially if he's hitting down in the batting order and not hitting first. So we'll see with Maysn Winn, but it looks like he's going to be good to go starting today. Guy going the other direction is Lane Thomas. Lane Thomas is a compiler. He's a guy that has to play on a daily basis to be of use in the fantasy space. He is somebody that tears up left-handed pitching, but is just a guy against righties. He went to the Guardians and didn't hit very well last year at all. And he's not hit well to start this season either. And he was out of the lineup for the third straight game yesterday. And that's a legitimate concern, because in his profile, you can make the case that the Guardians are doing the right thing by benching him against righties and using him just against left-handed pitching. If that's the case, if what we're seeing here the last couple of days is how the Guardians are going to play it, Lane Thomas is useless in a mixed league. That's troubling. He's on the wrong side of a platoon. So we'll have to continue to watch this information for the next couple of days. If he continues to sit against righties the rest of the week, we could come the weekend consider letting him go in shallower mixed leagues. 10-team leagues, 12-team leagues, maybe let him go. And again, injuries happen, opportunities change, all of that. But Lane Thomas is not usable, obviously, if he's just facing lefties. Even in an AL-only league, just facing lefties is a huge disappointment from a guy that we were hoping to get 500 plate appearances from this year. Yikes. That's a pretty quick decision by the Guardians. Again, understandable, but 3 weeks in, pretty quick decision it seems like they've made. Next up, Heimer Candelario was on the bench for Noelvi Marte yesterday for the second straight day. As we talked about with Marte, the first time he was promoted was that 2 weeks ago. We talked about him last week too. This is another scenario with the Reds where they have too many players. Don't forget, right now their CES is out of the lineup too, so they expect him back in relatively short order. Spencer Steer's finally playing the field. The last 2 games he's played first base. By putting him at first base, Then remember, CES is a first base DH guy too. If they want Marte to play third base, which makes sense, Candelario's out of the lineup. Candelario is making $15 million this year and next year, so he's making $30 million. That's a lot of money for the Reds to have on the bench. It makes it more difficult to trade him if he's out of the lineup, if he's not playing consistently. So we will see how this goes. I've always thought the Candelario signing, and I've said it many times, was an odd signing for the Reds. With all the talent they have, I don't know why they'd want to block it with just a guy. Like, Candelario gives you a good at bat and all that, but he's just a guy. So maybe the Reds have made the decision to move on. As we talked about yesterday, Gavin Lux was 11 for 17, 11 for 18 heading into the game last night, hit a home run last night, not taking him out of the lineup. So it looks like Candelario is the odd man out. And, that can change if Austin Hayes gets hurt again, et cetera. But for now, Candelario looks like Marte is going to get a shot. And Marte is a more talented guy than Candelario. No dispute about that. Marte has the ability to match Candelario's power while, quintupling his speed output. He could steal 20 bases, right, Marte? So, I get it from the Reds' perspective, and we'll see if it's something that makes sense. Because a lot of people, everyone's talking about Nick Kurtz and Jace Jung and all that. Noelvi Marte might be the guy, right? Just like, he just might be the guy. Just like everyone was talking about Simpson over the weekend. And I said, go get Durbin. Durbin did a home run last night. Good start. Maybe it's Durbin, multi-position guy. So Marte is a guy that maybe he's going to end up being the player that we should have been talking more about. Got to prove himself as a daily player, but he's on the right path to make that a reality. The Diamondbacks placed Jake McCarthy on the injured list. There was some hullabaloo last night when this happened. People saying, oh my, Jordan Lawler plays shortstop. So I don't really know why Jake McCarthy being demoted would lead people to think that Jordan Lawler was being called up. Again, I get it. As we talked about on the show, it would be odd timing to call up Lawler now because Marte is getting closer to return, and obviously Perdomo's been terrific. So we haven't seen a move. I didn't see a move yet. Maybe they made a move and I missed it. Certainly wasn't Jordan Lawler. Interesting with Jake McCarthy, Alex Thomas has basically become the center fielder now. The Diamondbacks have done this very weird thing the last couple of years. They've had Thomas and McCarthy, and they can't seem to make a decision on who they want to be in the lineup on a daily basis. McCarthy has had moments where he's been a star. 2 years ago in the second half, he was a superstar. He hit 300 and stole like 25 bases. McCarthy's game is such that he really should be a fourth outfielder. He's good defensively, can steal a base, but his offensive game is very muted. Alec Thomas, his offensive game is rather muted too. He's in the Andrew Benintendi zone as a hitter without the speed piece that Benintendi had earlier in his career. So very similar to what Benintendi is now. So both McCarthy and Alec Thomas are probably daily starters on second division clubs. Diamondbacks want to be more than that. So anyway, at this point in time, they've chosen Alec Thomas over McCarthy. So if you had McCarthy shares, no real reason to hold on right now. Realize when McCarthy gets promoted and when someone gets hurt, McCarthy, has the ability to steal 20 bases in half a season. We talked about him actually doing it previously. So he's someone to keep on a watch list. But if you had him in a 10 or 12 team league, he's gone now. Alec Thomas, I wouldn't, nothing to pay attention to there in those 10 and 12 team leagues. So it's not a pivot from McCarthy to Thomas. That just doesn't do you any good. Gavin Sheets, maybe he's a better pivot. Now, Gavin Sheets, at 2 for 4 yesterday, hit a home run. Interestingly enough, now he hit second yesterday because Luis Ariz was out of the lineup. Okay. He's not going to be the number 2 hitter, but for a short while he might be, because remember, Ariz is going to miss about a week here with the concussion. He's on the concussion list after that collision at first base. If you've got him hitting second in between Tatis and Machado, yippee-ki-yay, right? So Gavin Sheets is a very intriguing short-term pickup. I mentioned yesterday on the show how I bid on him, but I didn't get him because he was my fallback option to the league. I got Durbin in. But Sheets, infield outfield eligibility is possible. He's off to an amazing start. He's hitting over 340 with a nearly 390 on base percentage. He's going to strike out. He's not going to play every day. Long term, he's probably hitting 6th, 7th. Okay, all of these things. But right now, Gavin Sheets, for those of you looking for a today pickup, Gavin Sheets is in a good spot to be that today pickup and to do a pretty good job for you out of that spot. Now, this is how the game works, right? If any of you missed the game last night between the Mets and the Phillies, here's what happened. Edwin Diaz comes into the game. There's a couple of guys on base. He grooves a fastball to Bryson Stott, who Bryson Stott hits, 420 feet, hits the ball as far as he can. So at the end of the day, 3-run home run against Edwin Diaz. Only one of the runs was actually charged to Diaz, and Diaz got a save. That's the way it works, okay? So Diaz did not pitch well. but he got the save yesterday. But Bryson Stott did go 2 for 3 with that 3-run home run. Stott is a very intriguing player because, like a lot of guys, he's kind of like Wayne Thomas. He's not ever really going to wow you, Bryson Stott. You can watch a game with Bryson Stott, and it's like, eh. You can even look at his numbers at the end of the season, and you're going to think to yourself, eh. You look at his last 2 years. He's averaged, and I'm ballparking this, he's averaged 265, 13, 60, 70, 30. He's basically been right there with Andres Jimenez, right? They're kind of the same guy in terms of what the output is. Stott at one point in time was a shortstop. Now he's a second baseman full-time. Last 2 years, he's basically been a 10-30 guy. That's pretty good, right? It's not great, but it keeps you going and everything like that. He's off to a pretty solid start this year. He's got 4 steals, a couple of home runs now through the 20 games. So he's on pace to have a career best home run total by a smidge. He's on base. His pace for the stolen base column is right on his norm. He's hitting 295, which is a little bit elevated. He does have a 368 batting average of balls in play, so that number is going to regress, which will pull the batting average back. His batted ball data is poor. There's a lot of guys, though, that have this game, this style of game that Stott has, which is put the ball in play, spray the ball around the field, hit the ball into the gaps, try to jack one every once in a while if a pitcher makes a mistake kind of thing. A lot of those guys don't have tremendous batted ball information. So it's really tough to look at Bryson Stott and go, oh my God, look at his barrel rate. It's terrible. It's 7%, which for him is actually pretty good, even though it's below the league average. His exit velocity numbers are terrible, His hard hit rate is terrible. The expected numbers are way below the actual numbers. Here's what I would say in total with Stott. He's going to hit 250, 260. He's going to hit you those 10 to 15 home runs. He's going to steal you 25 to 30 bases. That's what's going to happen. As long as he plays every day, and he's shown an ability to do that pretty effectively with 151 and 148 games last 2 years. So here we go. John G says last year he hurt his arm and that causes lower production. Maybe, John, but really he lost 4 home runs. His other numbers were almost the same. His on-base percentage went down 14 percentage points, which is well within the norm. He did lose 75 points in OPS, but his OPS was only 30 points off his career number. So, yeah, maybe his arm caused a little bit of a dip last year. But again, the numbers I pointed out there are probably what we're going to get from Stott, which is, again, a very usable piece for those of you that are in two deeper mixed leagues, for those of you with corner, infield, middle infield. By the way, let me just say that before we move on to the pitchers. I'm getting a lot of questions in the Discord. Really been moving well the last couple of days, couple of weeks over at fantasyguru.com. Again, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner if you want to get signed up. Seasonal baseball, DFS baseball, wagering baseball. We can take care of all that for you. Send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. Support@fantasyguru.com. A lot of you are asking questions. You're making moves and all of that. And we're running into scenarios where I'm often saying, yeah, but, do it, but, okay, but. Just to say it again, I understand why everyone wants to be in smaller leagues, and I understand why everyone wants to play in head-to-head leagues. But just about the worst setup you could possibly be in is a 10-team head-to-head league. It's just the worst. You're making it more difficult on yourself to have success. You think you're making it easier and it's more fun. It's not. Why? What are you talking about? There are all-star caliber guys on the waiver wire. So there's always guys to pick up, but you're dropping all-star caliber players who aren't performing well to pick up these other guys. And so it's this constant game of trying to time the market, and timing the market doesn't work. I would really encourage you all, especially for those of you that subscribe at FGE, that watch this show on a daily basis, to consider being in a deeper league next year, because you're kind of short-circuiting your ability to have that success, because your league is dumbed down to the point where everyone can kind of compete with you because they're just turning to all these guys on the waiver wire that shouldn't be on the waiver wire. Pitching side of things, before we visit with Armando Marsal in a couple of minutes, Max Meyer had 14 strikeouts last night, looked great. If he was on the waiver wire in any league, he won't be after last night. Was terrific, dominant against the Reds. He's throwing his slider about half the time, which is pretty insane for a starting pitcher. His slider is absolutely fantastic. It's about the other pitches and his ability to do more than just fastball slider you, because going through the lineup the third time has been a concern with him. Last night it wasn't an issue at all against the Reds. Those 14 punch-outs, he was terrific. He's got a 34% strikeout rate, which is huge for a starting pitcher. He's got a 32% CSW, big-time number. He's got a 15.5 swinging strike rate, big-time number. He is a strikeout and inning guy. No problem with saying that. Also has a 57% ground ball rate right now, which we love, right? Strikeouts, ground balls, no walks. The trinity of pitching. Here's the issue, though. The exit velocity with him right now is 94 miles an hour. That's massive. When he's not missing bats, guys are hitting the ball pretty hard. His hard hit rate is 46%. That's a pretty big number. His expected ERA, if you look at all the batted ball stuff, his actual ERA right now is 2.1. His expected ERA is 3.9. And more to the point with Max Meyer, he threw 61 innings in 2022. He threw 0 innings in 2023 because he hurt his arm and had surgery. He threw 115 innings last year. 130 innings this year is probably top end. The Marlins have no reason to push him. There's just no incentive. They're not making the playoffs. They want to build around this guy and have him be there. So I'd be cautious with Meyer. Again, the strikeouts are legit. The rest of his game, we're still trying to find it. If he had a breakout season this year, I would not at all be surprised. He's a tremendously talented guy. It comes down to his ability with those third and fourth offerings that he's been working on because he's been too one-dimensional with just the 1-2 punch heading into this season. Here's the guy that I talked about earlier before we talked some football with Armando Marsal. Every time Nick Lodolo takes the hill, I'm seeing somebody complain somewhere. Maybe this is my fault because I called him my breakout pitcher of the year. I don't know. But it's really odd to me that people keep complaining about Nick Lodolo. Nick Lodolo right now has got a 2.8 ERA and a 0.97 whip. You put numbers up like that, you're in Cy Young contention. So I don't really know why. 3.4% walk rate is excellent. Not good, not great. It's excellent. So we have the seeds here of tremendous success in the early going from Nick Lodolo. Now, one outstanding feature that will come back to bite him in the long term if it doesn't adjust, and one issue that does diminish his fantasy value, is the strikeout rate. It's 15%. He also has a 25% CSW. So we're in a really weird spot with Lodolo right now where the strikeouts are way off the expectations, like way off. But the rest of his game has been excellent. And I'm very confused as to why people are complaining about it. Is it just you expected him to be Jacob deGrom this year? Like, I mean, if we get 150 innings out of this guy with an ERA in the 2s and a whip of 1, like, you really going to be upset by that? Because, again, this is happening every time he makes a start. I'm seeing somebody complain somewhere. It's really weird. We have to continue to monitor this. His next start is in Colorado. That is not a good, right, obviously. He's been very good on the road, though. For the entirety of his career, he's been excellent on the road. His issue's been pitching in Cincy. To date, the numbers are terrific. The performance is up and down, a little spotty, and we need to get those strikeouts back before we can really get excited. But I would love to hear why people are so angry and disappointed in Nick Lodolo. I don't really get it to this point. Robbie Ray gave up 2 runs over 5 innings on Monday. The 2 runs he gave up were on that home run to Durbin. Was great in spring training, but here come the walks. He's thrown 24 innings this year, and he's walked 18 guys. You just can't do it, right? It's amazing he has been able to pitch out of trouble as much as he has to have the success he's had to date. But Robbie Ray must, M-U-S-T, must improve this walk rate, or we're going to have a lot of problems with him. And I find it really interesting. I know he's always done this. If you watch Robbie Ray pitch, when he pitches, he's in his your home plate here, right? When he's doing his windup, he's looking, and his head comes like with his arm. Like, he's not even looking at home plate. And again, he's always been that way, but it just really strikes you when he's failing to control the strike zone. He doesn't look at home plate until like the very last second. I don't think they're going to change mechanics now, but something to watch. He's been effective despite the walks, but they will bite him in the end if he doesn't adjust that. And then finally, Hunter Brown. Wow. Hunter Brown was in my breakout pitcher of the year article last year, as Nick Lodolo was this year. I think Brown was second or third on the list last year. He was in the top 3. Was terrible at the start and then fantastic quality starts all season long. He started out exactly the same way this year. 7 shutout innings. His ERA is now 1.2. I believe that's either 10 or 11 or 11 of 12 outings with a quality start. I mean, just Hunter Brown is, with each outing, ascending the ranks. The only thing he has to prove now is stability. I mean, he's done everything for 12 calendar months. He's basically been everything that anyone could have expected. He does it for another 5 months this year. We got a burgeoning fantasy ace on our hands with the Astros righty. All right, so there's a review of what kind of went down in the diamond the last 24 hours. Tomorrow it'll be our next guest, Armando Marsal and Justin Fensterman, talking about everything sports related. We've got the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs. Obviously, baseball is rocking and rolling. The draft is tomorrow. So all 4 sports in play this week. I'll be with Jeff Mans again tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern. I'll be with Justin tonight on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio on Elite Sports Game Time. For those people, remember, we talk baseball about an hour and a half of the 2 hours every night. So check us out 8 to 10 Eastern on SiriusXM. Okay, so there was that. Now it's time to talk some football. We got the draft coming. Thank God. It's almost here. Thank God it's finally going to get done. Thank God we can stop talking about all these rookies and get some action here. But one last check-in with Armando and Marsal will be the call here as we get ready for that actual NFL draft. Armando, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing good, Ray. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay. Are you ready for the actual draft to happen? Have you gotten draft fatigue? Or is
No, I'm excited. We actually have a fun plan for tonight's roster coach live stream. We're gonna go and do a little quick prediction of how the draft can go, maybe some of these picks. So excited for that. Just working on the player profiles. I posted Cam Ward's yesterday. I'll be posting Sanders tomorrow. I might be doing two more quarterbacks between today and tomorrow. So look out for those, and we'll keep pumping them out through until draft day.
By the way, the live stream is at 7 o'clock Eastern tonight. So Armando mentioned that. Tomorrow for day one of the NFL draft, you guys are going to be on there as well, correct?
Yeah. Well, the draft is Thursday, but yes.
Thursday, sorry.
Yeah. Draft is on Thursday. We will be on Thursday. We will be doing the live stream. It's 8 p.m. The draft starts at 8 p.m. So I think it's 8 to midnight. So we'll be doing that, going through every pick, reactions, live reactions. We're gonna have guests on and things like that. So should be a fun one there. Tune in. Make sure you tune in. 8 p.m. on Thursday.
All right. So Armando's going to be here today, here tomorrow. Live stream tonight, live stream Thursday. So lots of Armando. He's getting the Ray Flowers treatment here the next couple of days as all was talking. Since we're talking about the draft, I wanted to ask you two generic questions because this is that time of year where who's the biggest draft riser? There are always guys that literally 3 months ago no one was talking about who now are going pick 31. Like it happens every year. There are some guys that were, maybe he'll sneak into the first round to now he's going to be a top 10 pick. Who, in your opinion, has been the biggest riser throughout this draft process?
I think Jackson Dart. I think there's been a lot of attention on him. He's someone that I liked, coming out, but I think he's now more popular than when he was, right? I think more people are noticing his abilities, and I think he's caught a lot of attention over the last couple of months. So he's someone that, to me, has his stock has risen, and I think rightfully so. So he's someone that I'd be considering that. And maybe you can make the same case for Jalen Milroe, but for me, I think it's Dart has been the one that kind of has been a steady drumbeat of positivity. Talking about he's possibly going maybe ahead of Sanders now. You've seen some reports out there. So I think his stock has risen significantly and rightfully so.
Biggest faller, is it Sanders? Is it somebody else? Like who's gone in the other direction when we talk about faller? And again, I always love this. This process is so weird to me, Armando, because it's like, do all these people that were talking about the draft 2 months ago do no analysis whatsoever when they're talking? Like, how could you say you love this guy and then 2 months later be like, I don't love this guy? Like, did you not watch the game tape before you started talking?
Correct. It's one of those things. I think it's just because so many people are out there trying to get ahead of the curve and stuff like that. And it's just like some of this, it's a process. You have to kind of let things play out. You got to see, if you haven't been watching game film, you have to catch up on game film before you make any analysis. You have to put all this together. But yeah, to me, I think it's funny how, a player was projected as a top 5 pick, and then all of a sudden now he's arguably maybe in the second round. And I think Sanders is I think that's a good one. I do think, right, because he was projected to be, a top 3 pick, at one point. And now there's talks about him being outside the top 10, so I think his stock has dropped. I think Luther Burton is someone that I want to talk about because he had a bad 2024. Like his season wasn't great. And I think, a lot of people had him as one of the top receivers in this draft class. And now we're seeing it's somewhat of a deeper class, and he's kind of fallen off a lot of the radar. So I think his stock has dropped. He's still projected in some mock drafts to be a day one guy, first round guy. But if he drops to that second round, would it be overly surprising? I don't think so. So I would say his stock has dropped, somewhat, from going into earlier stages of all of this process.
Armando Marsal of fantasyguru.com. Armando, again, here with us Tuesdays talking football. Wednesdays he usually joins Justin Fencerman to talk basketball, our two-sport star, Armando Marsal. You mentioned being part of the player profile series. Talk about it basically with everyone every time we have a guest on, because you're all doing these write-ups. It's like, for those of you that watch the baseball or have the baseball product, my player profile series, they're doing the same kind of thing with these youngsters. So they've been profiling all of these guys. You can find it over at fantasyguru.com. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. You can sign up for the full season football package right now if you want to do that. You can also get the off-season franchise mode if you just want to get the off-season coverage. But there's a lot of guys that have been reviewed. And you mentioned Cam Ward, whose player profile just went up, Armando. Give us a 45, 60 second on Cam Ward. It's up 99.9. He's going number 1 to the Titans. What do you see from him in year 1?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the supporting cast here in Tennessee. You got Calvin Ridley. That's your top guy. Tony Pollard backfield there. Then you got a couple of other, pieces there in the receiving group. Brian Canahan, the head coach. I think Ward is someone that, with the right supporting cast, with the right coaching system, with the right coaching, all of that, he can succeed at the NFL level. I don't expect him to come in year 1 and be, one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. I think he's going to be a work in progress. I think there's going to be growing pains. And so long as the Titans continue to build around him, I do think he could be an every week starter for them, right? I do think he has the potential to be that. This is not a quarterback class I love all that much. And for me, Ward is the number 2 quarterback in this draft class. I still have Dart ahead of him. But for me, I think he is that number 2 guy for Tennessee, or the number 1 guy for Tennessee. But I do think that they have a lot of potential in him there.
You mentioned Shedeur Sanders, and you thought the player profile, you said tomorrow probably? Is that what you said?
Yes, tomorrow. It'll be up by no later than tomorrow. We're going to try to have it up by tonight, but I don't want to make anyone promises that I can't keep. Not that kind of person.
Sneak peek at what it's going to say? Just a little for the people here on the show?
I don't think he's a first-round quarterback. But when you look at this draft class, he's the number 3 guy on my board in this draft class. But again, I go back to saying it's not a draft class I'm overly excited about. I think he has a capped ceiling is what I would say about Sanders.
Okay. Armando Marsal of fantasyguru.com. One of the guys that seemingly is a riser is Ashton Jeanty, who was going to go to the Cowboys when the draft process started at pick 12. Then he was going to be pick 10. Then he was going to go to the Saints. Then he was going to go to the Bears. Then he was going to go to the Raiders. Now we're hearing that Jacksonville might be in. Clearly we're not drafting a running back at the top of the first round thing is out the window with him, because we know how the NFL's handled running backs of late. But now we're getting Adam Schefter wrote an article saying that Travis Etienne, maybe they would trade him for draft picks. So Liam Cohen obviously had a system in place with Tampa that worked, and he had these 2 running backs that were a huge part of it. Is he actually going to try to recreate that by taking Jeanty here in the first round?
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, when you have a running back I'm not saying I would do it, but I wouldn't be surprised, because when you have a running back like Jeanty, I think he's a difference maker, right? And you're looking for that explosive player. You add a running back like him with, now you have a receiver like Brian Thomas, who's an alpha receiver there. I think you continue to build, explosive players around Trevor Lawrence. I don't think they've given up on Trevor Lawrence. I think they're just invested in him at this point. So continue to, give him those kind of pieces. And I do think Jeanty's a difference maker. Based on what we saw last year, right? Travis Etienne really was not that guy that they wanted, right? And we've kind of seen this with Etienne from the beginning. I think expectations were a little bit higher than when he's, returned for us. So for me, no, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if that's the move I would make. But again, we go back to, I'm not a GM in the NFL. I can't make these calls, I would continue to give an offense. I want offensive line protecting my Trevor Lawrence. That's what I would do. But that's my answer for a lot of things.
They do have $275 million invested in their quarterback. So another running back is nice, but Armando Marsal of fantasyguru.com, by the way, Raiders pick 6th and the Jaguars pick 5th. So the Jaguars obviously could make that move ahead of the Raiders if they wanted to. J.J. McCarthy. Now, McCarthy obviously drafted last year. We've talked about it, you and I, about Sam Darnold was there as a safety valve. He ended up having a fantastic season while McCarthy was dealing with the knee injury. McCarthy's checking all the boxes. We continue to hear the Vikings, maybe they add somebody here, but their flirtation with Aaron Rodgers kind of seems like it's not really a thing anymore. It seems like they're confident with J.J. McCarthy. Just remind people, if the Vikings do indeed go into week 1 with J.J. McCarthy, who is J.J. McCarthy?
So I think J.J. McCarthy has a lot of potential. I think he's in a good situation with a good supporting cast and a phenomenal head coach. I think he can be successful here. I think that this team doesn't really skip a beat with McCarthy under center over Sam Darnold. I think from a fantasy standpoint, I'm still going to be viewing him as a, QB2 in super flex leagues, or 2 quarterback leagues. That's what I'm viewing him. I don't want him as my QB1 in a 12-team, single quarterback league. That's, from a fantasy standpoint. From an NFL standpoint, I do think that, the Minnesota is going to continue to be a threat in their division. I think they're going to continue to be a winning team. And, I think eventually McCarthy can be a very good NFL quarterback, but I do think that it's going to take, obviously, this is going to be kind of like his rookie season for him, right? I know he was sitting one year and kind of learning the stuff, but he really never got that playing time. And the speed of the NFL is very different from what it is in college, and we see that all the time. So there might be a little transition period, but I do think he's someone that's going to flourish in this system and in this offense.
Armando Marsal, fantasyguru.com, might be our fitness guy on staff. I don't know. I don't know if anyone's out there running like Armando does. He gets the weights on. Rucking, is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's rucking. It's with a vest, a weighted vest or book bag. So
John G I mentioned this because John G ran 4 miles thanks to entertainment while he was running. So John's out there running. More power to John. I talked about earlier, I hate running anymore. But John apparently has been listening to us talk baseball and football while running, Armando. So he's a man after your own heart.
There you go. There, 4 miles more than I do. I do 2.5 to 3 miles a day. So it's much more than I do on a regular basis. So good. There you go, John. Good job.
Way to go, John. Keep it going. I mentioned Aaron Rodgers, and again, I'm sorry, everyone. Hope he retires. It sounds like that's a possibility now. I bet it's not. Even when Aaron Rodgers retires, he'll then in week 7 start talking to the press when Bo Nix hurts his knee. Right? This is just how it's going to be. Rodgers or Kirk Cousins? Like, if you had to make a choice as an organization, like you're the Browns, Kirk Cousins or Rodgers? Just sign Rodgers if you could, because he's a free agent. You don't have to pay anything. Kirk Cousins can't cost much because of his contract being so massive. When you give him a 7th-round pick, I can't imagine. Who would you rather have this season if it was your team?
I think I like more what I saw from Rodgers than I did from Cousins last year. Okay. But then again, you can make the strong argument that it was because Cousins was returning from an injury, learning a new system, et cetera, et cetera. So, but I do think that Rodgers still showed some life there in New York. Like, he wasn't super impressive, but it didn't look like he was completely washed, So, yeah, I would say Rodgers, but I wouldn't want any at this point. I would just draft a quarterback despite disliking this draft class. Right. That's what I would do if I'm the Browns.
I had a question yesterday in Discord. I don't remember if you were tagged on it or not in the Dynasty room. Someone was going to make a deal, including Michael Pittman. And I said, look, I don't know who's quarterback for this team. And the outlook for Michael Pittman, in my opinion, is drastically different if it's Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones as the quarterback. We heard Chris Ballard, the GM, say that both these guys are going to help us at some point. You never know what to take from general managers and coaches. They're just spouting off and that kind of thing. Maybe this is an admission that both guys are going to play. Maybe this is an admission that Jones is going to be the quarterback and Richardson's going to have packages on a weekly basis. Maybe this is an admission by the GM that Anthony Richardson can't stay healthy, so even if he's our starter, we know Daniel Jones is going to play. I don't know what it is. What are we doing with this Colts offense right now? And, it's quarterback is arguably the most important position in sports. I don't know if they know what they want to do, and we certainly don't know what they want to do.
I think it's very difficult, right? Because I think that the Colts are not ready to admit, or I don't want to say admit just yet, right? Because there's still potential possibility, but I would say ready to admit that they were wrong and that their plan did not work as they wanted it to work out. And I think they're going to give Richardson one more opportunity, but I do think that it's a short leash. I think that it's one of those situations where if it's as bad as it was last season, they're going to quickly remove him and put in Daniel Jones and kind of give Jones the opportunity and see what happens there. If Jones struggles, we can see kind of like a carousel there, right? Where it's 1 week, one, and one, but the other one struggles. If someone's, I think that could be a possibility here if they both struggle. But if Jones gets the opportunity and he does well in that opportunity, I don't think he's going to be looking back anymore. I think that's going to be his job. I truly do. And I think Jones has the potential to be the starting quarterback for Indianapolis. I'm personally going to be investing in Daniel Jones late in my drafts, so long as nothing changes between now and when I draft. But as things stand today, I would be taking shots in super flex and 2 quarterback leagues on Jones because I do think at some point he is going to be a starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts this season. And as far as Michael Pittman is concerned, he's a very difficult player to trade for or away right now because you're not going to get much from him or much for him. And the problem with him is, like you said, it's very contingent on his quarterback. He could be a every week starter for you if Daniel Jones is under center. When it's Anthony Richardson, it's just a very volatile situation for him. So I'm probably holding Michael Pittman unless I'm getting a very, very good offer that I can't refuse.
Let's talk a little bit of the Chargers and their wide receiver core. They've got Justin Herbert. They were very successful last season as a team, record-wise. Harbaugh came in, they won games and all of that. Herbert had moments last year. I think they threw a little bit more than we thought. But the fact is that they don't really have a receiving group here. They've got Ladd McConkey. Okay, they've got that slot taken care of. We drafted Quentin Johnson a couple years ago, and though he was better last year, I think we just have to admit he's a supporting piece. He's not a leading piece. Mike Williams can't stay healthy, and then it's Darius Davis and Jalen Reagor and all these guys. So there are reports that this team is, has a good wide receiver. This team is looking at this good wide receiver class, and they're very interested. Makes a lot of sense. Do you see it that way for the Chargers too? Do you think that, jumping in here to get another wide receiver makes a lot of sense for the club?
I think it's something that they're going to do this year. I do think they're going to invest in a receiver. What round that is, we don't know, obviously, but I do think that they're going to add receiving depth here. Getting Mike Williams is just kind of a depth thing. I don't think they're going to be counting on him as their number one or their go-to guy by any means. I think they're well aware, obviously, of his durability issues. He was with the franchises a couple of years ago. So, I think that they're going to be investing in a wide receiver in this draft, and I think rightfully so. They missed on, like you said, they missed on Johnson. At least that's what it looks like at this point. McConkey looked good, but he's a slot receiver. So they need that alpha. They need that outside receiver that could make those big plays, create those, big plays. And I think they're going to aim for that here in this draft.
Marsal of fantasyguru.com. You have a pack of baseball cards this week, Armando? I didn't ask you.
Of course. And I also have I want to show about my son pulled an autograph card.
Okay. All right. A couple minutes, folks. Stay tuned for that. We're teasing here, even though that's what they call radio a tease, even though this isn't radio. Cardinals. They re-signed Greg Dortch, 1 year, $3 million, $3.3 million. Fine, who cares? Greg Dortch is 5'2". He's the only guy in football that's smaller than Kyler Murray. I'm only exaggerating a little bit. He's fine in the slot, whatever. Okay, fine. They've got Marvin Harrison, who they underutilized as a rookie last year. In theory, Michael Wilson, he's got the size, and they need that. But you're looking at this group. Is that a group that needs to be addressed as well? Is this kind of like the Chargers, like looking at the receiving core of the Cardinals? It's like, okay, Marvin Harrison, yes. Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, Zay Jones, Is that a direction you think they might go in the draft?
I think they can, but they don't need to. I think Michael Wilson as your number 2 is okay. I think you mentioned he has a size. He's really not lived up to, I guess, his true potential and what was, expected of him when he came out of college. But I do think that, you also have a very good tight end in McBride there. You have, Marvin Harrison, which, like you mentioned, just didn't have the rookie campaign, but we still know the ceiling that's there and the potential that's there. He can become a number 1 wide receiver. And then if you have a supporting cast of Zay Jones, who can make big plays, make big catches. We saw it during his time in Jacksonville there. He made some exceptional catches, especially in the red zone there. And Michael Wilson, who I think has, the ability to be a rock solid wide receiver 2 for this offense. And really, it's a wide receiver 3 when you think about it, when you have McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. in front of him. So I do think that there's some potential. Yeah, Greg Dortch is your slot receiver, whatever. Yeah, like you mentioned, he's a slot receiver, and he's not going to be a high volume guy by any means. But you can line up, some of these other players out of the slot. McBride out of the slot. Like there's so much potential with this offense. Can they add a piece? Sure. Do I think is a must at this point for this team? No, not necessarily.
Armando Marsal of fantasyguru.com. As noted, Armando will be on the live stream tonight talking football at 7 o'clock Eastern at fantasyguru.com. He'll be on the live stream on Thursday as the whole crew is covering round 1 of the NFL draft. He'll be on tomorrow, right? You'll be on tomorrow with Justin Fenceman on this show at 12:30 Eastern?
Yeah, Fancy actually texted me right before hopping on. I haven't been able to reply, but Fancy, if you're watching, yes, I will be on with you tomorrow.
Okay. So Armando's got this show tonight, tomorrow, evening. 4 shows in 3 days. Go, Armando, go. Before we let you run, before we let you do some more analysis and post some more articles, are you doing any basketball today, by the way?
I'm helping with editing today, so yeah, I'm going to be posting Fancy's article, and then I'll be in Discord. But we're not doing cheat sheets for the playoffs. It's just articles. So Fancy has the article, and then him and I will be in the Discord answering questions and whatnot. So I'll be doing that right before jumping on the NFL live stream. And while I'm on the NFL live stream, I'll be double dipping.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, Slate locks at 7:30. So
okay, go a few extra minutes there. The crossover. Okay, go Warriors.
No.
Are the Warriors playing tonight?
Yes, I've been hold on.
Right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes,
I think they are. I don't know. I'm out of the loop here.
No, I believe you're right. I believe you're right because they did it. Let me see here. I'll tell you right now. Sorry.
Beat the Rockets game 1, so they're up 1-0.
Yes. No, they're not on tonight. Actually,
okay.
No, we got 3 games tonight. It's actually 7. So tomorrow's 7:30. Sorry. Okay. So it's Milwaukee, Indiana. We got Memphis, OKC, and then Minnesota Lakers tonight. Those are the 3 games we got on deck.
Okay, so we'll be talking about that later here. Armando will be talking. We will not be. Yeah. Armando will be talking about that later. Actually, you know what? That's a lie. I'll be talking about it too on the Elite Sports Game Time show tonight.
Yeah,
and still bring it up. So we will be talking about the slate tonight. Yeah. Again, we spend about an hour and a half on baseball and about 30 minutes on basketball. That's kind of what we're doing on the evening show, 8 to 10 Eastern on Sirius XM. You mentioned you had a pack of cards, Armando, but before you have a pack of cards, you said your son actually pulled an auto that you wanted to share. What do you got?
Yeah, it's not a really expensive one or anything. But it's Jose Barrios here. Look at that.
Wow, Jose Barrios.
Yeah. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Sig.
Yeah, he's never pulled an autograph card. So he was super excited, man.
Is it numbered?
No. It's just a regular one. No. I looked at it, so it goes between $8 and $12. Like that's the sale price right now on eBay.
Sell it to me. Jeez.
Yeah,
he's been one of my guys.
I've been trying this. Look, I still have it here. I haven't put it away until I'm gonna make sure you get it. It's here.
Oh, my Dale Murphy.
Yeah, it's there. It's not going anywhere.
That was a good signature for my Barrios, though.
Yeah.
A lot of times you get the signatures and it's like you can actually read that. That was like
this was really nice. Yeah, and then this we got this too. It's a cool one. Not worth anything, but
Call the Hall. Is that Willie Mays?
Yeah.
Oh, there it says on the bottom. I was looking at his face.
Yeah.
Willie Mays. Nice.
Willie Mays. Yeah, so it was a pretty cool pack. We got a couple good pools. We got it from Easter Bunny.
Okay.
So
my dad still maintains that Willie Mays is the greatest player of all time.
Yeah.
And he saw him, starting in the 50s, got to see him live. So he saw him in his heyday and all that. But there are a lot of other people in baseball that make the same argument. But yeah, he's definitely in the conversation.
Absolutely. He is.
What do you got here for our pack today? What are we looking at?
We're looking at a 1990 Fleer.
I'm tweeting it out right now so people know.
So we got logo stickers and trading cards. This is a 10th anniversary edition.
Wow.
Yeah. So it has a couple of apparently some good cards there. All right, let's see what we got here. We'll open this one up. It starts off with a good one here.
Okay.
We got rookie Armando Marsal here. Look at that. That's me right there.
Wow, that's you?
Yeah, that is me.
Look at that.
1991.
Look at you. You're exhaling are you exhaling?
I was
just putting it into it?
Yeah, I think I got a little under that one. That's on the way out. You see the ball on the way out. So I think I got a little under that one. But if you look at the eyes, look at the form, I think it's pretty good. The eyes were where the ball, so I was reading, the eyes are supposed to be where the ball, like where you make contact. That's where you're supposed to stay with the eye and not move your. So I'll give myself a B+ there, Look,
I got to tell you, I have a lot of photos from when I was a kid too, because that's what you did back in the day. I don't have too many 8x10s of myself, Armando. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
All right. So the Rio pack, that was funny because that's 91. This is 90. So we got a giant sticker right here.
Go Giants. There you go. Yes.
There you go.
Hum baby.
There you go. Starting off good. All right.
Big.
We got Brian Meyer.
I like the Armando Marsal card better.
Yeah, I mean, look at the stash there. We talk about stashes, right?
Yeah, and that's so obviously in the Astrodome. So, you know.
So look at a school teacher mustache right there.
Good call. Yep. In the Astrodome, that's where they had the Bad News Bears too, right? Let them play.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Oh boy, Bert. Oh,
Y11.
There you go. Yeah, thank you for bailing.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bert Y11. Actually, what did he win? 280 games. How many games did he win?
What year? Because
no, for his career, I'm saying I think he's won.
Oh, you know
300 games. Did he win 300 games? And I'm blowing it.
I have as of 89.
Yep.
He had 271 games.
Ended up with 287. Yeah. 287 wins, 250 losses. He threw 4,970 innings, almost threw 5,000 innings. Like this dude, I mean, in his 23rd season, he was still throwing 130 innings. Like they don't make him like that anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, he was 38 years old throwing 270 innings. Different world.
That's wild.
Yeah.
All right, we got George Bell.
George Bell had a 47 home run season. If I'm not mistaken.
This goes up to 47 and 87. There you go.
Yeah. He was I'm trying to remember who else. Why am I drawing a blank on that Toronto team? Lloyd Mayberry? No. Who else was the other guy? Shoot, what 19? Give me a sec, Armando. Yeah, I'm drawing a total blank.
I was gonna say Vlad, but he's playing now.
Yeah, no, Fred McGriff was on that team with him. Who was the outfit? Lloyd Mosby was the guy I was thinking of. Lloyd Mosby. But yeah, George Bell was quite the ripper. He had a very settled. He kind of sat down, squatted. Armando. He kind of was and then did a little.
Oh, really?
Season. He had a couple great years. Yeah. All-star a couple times, I think.
Fred McGriff. He ended up. He played in several teams. I think he played for the Padres too for a while.
Fred McGriff played for the Blue Jays, the Padres, the Braves, the Rays, the Dodgers, and the Cubs when it was all said and done.
Wow, I didn't know. I forgot about the Cubs.
It was only a year and a half, but yeah.
Kurt Young.
Kurt Young, all right. Yeah, Kurt Young. Those batting practice yellow athletics jackets. Yeah. I don't mind the yellow. I guess the A's. I always thought it was weird that the A's wore white shoes. I guess you can't really wear black, but the white shoes they're too bright.
Yeah, they are too bright, and then when you have kids, they get dirty too quickly.
Right.
So, we got Roger McDowell.
Roger McDowell, who, by the way, Roger and I are friends on Facebook, became a pretty. He was a good reliever. I think he had a 30 save seasons, right?
Let me see here. Saves. So as of 89, he had a 25 and a
25, 22, 22, 23. Okay, I missed.
Yeah.
He had 420 save seasons. He was a good pitcher. Yeah.
So he was a good reliever there. All right, we got Mauro Gazzo from the Blue Jays.
How does that mustache rate? Because I don't remember him as a player.
What are we thinking?
That is the mustache of a Lothario. That's the mustache of a guy who goes out to a bar on a Friday night looking to get some action. That's what I'm thinking.
There you go.
Kind of like, I don't know. Right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You know what? Yes.
The answer is yes. It's got a little, hey, would you like a gin and tonic, my lady? That kind of thing.
I think you hit it spot on. That's a bullseye right there. Right?
Okay. All right.
Oh, all right. Andy Van Slyke.
Andy Van Slyke was a really good all-around player. Good defensive player. Had some speed, some power. He was on those Pirates teams with Bonds and Sid Bream and all that. He was a good player, and I think he became an announcer too. Always had trouble as a kid spelling his last name for some reason. Never knew what to do with the hyphen. Is there a dash in there or whatever when I was a youngster? But a good player.
Yeah.
Good career.
Yeah, man. If you look at it, yeah. He had some pretty good seasons.
Yeah, good career.
All right, we
got kind of like a Brian Reynolds type, actually. The guy they got now, just a very solid, good player.
Greg Gagne.
Greg Gagne, yes, Gagne. You got it. Greg Gagne. Greg Gagne was the shortstop for the Twins for like a decade. Had a couple of decent offensive seasons, but he was more of the glue guy. Was around for his glove. He had some moments, like he, did some things in the playoffs. But as you can tell, there doesn't have the look of being super athletic, right? It's not like you look at him and go, "Wow." He had a couple of seasons where 3 seasons where he went 10-10. 250 career hitter. So yeah, he was in 1989. He had a WAR of 4, so that's pretty good. So yeah, he's a good, solid player. He actually played 15 years.
Trying to figure out what he was doing there. Is he swinging looks like he's trying to throw this, trying to swing at. Looks like there was like a bee around him, and he was trying to swap it.
Maybe he took a swing, and he's looking down at the first base umpire to see if he's going to call it a strike. Yeah, he's kind of in a weird. You're right about that.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. All right, we got a little 90 Fleer All-Star team.
Okay.
Left-handed pitcher Mark Davis here from the Padres.
Mark Davis, he had 45 saves one year. What do you have one year?
Oh, I don't. This doesn't give. So
43, 44. See, I was off by one up and down. He had 44 saves in 1989. That's when he made the All-Star game, I assume. There you go. Yeah. And he had almost half his career saves in one season. He had 96 for his career, and he had 44 in 1 year.
That's impressive.
He pitched for the Giants, wasn't any good. Went to the Padres, made the All-Star team. That's how it goes. That's how it went for the Giants back then.
Yeah. We got Martin Clary.
I don't remember him.
I don't know it, but we got mustache here.
We got it. Yeah, there's a little chin action there too, right?
Actually, yeah, no, it's not really a mustache. It's
a failed goatee.
We can't consider. We can't call it a mustache. The answer is no. But maybe the next one, no. The next one has a stash. It's
always weird to me because I'm like you. Like I have a beard, and like there's a lot of people that have beards and they have spots that like I just have a full beard. I always laugh at people when they have like part of it's missing. I kind of feel bad for them because it's like, can't be wearing a beard if you got a hole here or a hole? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. No. Yeah. If I was missing any, I'm just shaving it off.
Because then it looks like you're
my hair back here is very thin, like very thin. Like you could actually see, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like so I've contemplated on whether or not.
Oh no, look at the look. It's pretty sharp.
Listen, I know that's what I'm saying. We got Randy Kramer.
Don't remember Randy Kramer. Right. When you played, did you put your finger out of the glove like that, or did you put your finger on the inside of the glove?
No, inside.
Okay. What position did you play mostly?
Third base.
Okay.
Third base is sometimes I would play first, but mainly third base.
Okay.
Well, this right here, this guy works at a butcher shop. Like that's what it is. Butcher shop. Like he's handing out steaks left and right.
Clearly, in 1989-90, there was a higher prevalence of mustaches than there are today. Because that's like half the guys have had a mustache, right?
Yeah.
Like legit. Okay. A butcher. No, that makes sense. Okay. I just started watching The Sopranos over the weekend, by the way. I've never watched The Sopranos.
Wait, you've never watched it?
Never seen The Sopranos.
Oh, my
Just started watching The Sopranos, and they're going to that pork store a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They go there a lot. They go there often. But yeah, it's a great show. I hope you enjoy it. When you're done, it's going to probably take you some time. But when you're done, let me know what you think. It's a great show.
Okay.
We got Scott Bradley here.
Scott Bradley. I want to say that Scott Bradley had one good year. I don't know. I could be wrong.
He hit 302 in 86.
One good year? Nah, he really didn't. I mean, he had, decent career. He was around for 9 years, but I was wrong. He never really, his high at bats was 340. So he just kind of hung around.
Yeah. We got Jose De Leon.
Jose De Leon. Nice. I remember Jose De Leon. He used to throw really hard and used to get hurt a lot, is my remembrance of him.
Really?
Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, he was in the big leagues. Well, theoretically, his career spanned 8 years, but he only threw 65 innings. So I think I was right. I think he got hurt frequently. That's a lot, man. I mean, his career was technically 6 years, 8 years on the calendar, but 6 years total. Only threw 65 innings, 108 innings. Yeah, 65 total innings in his career. He was Tampa's like one of their top pitching prospects for like 3 years, and he just kept hurting his arm.
We got Mike Greenwell.
Mike Greenwell was really good. Mike Greenwell kind of in the Andy Van Slyke, Brian Reynolds zone and a hitter. Mike Greenwell 1 year won the batting title. He never quite lived up to the Yastrzemski, Ted Williams left field of the Red Sox, which is fantastic, right? He was kind of that next guy. I said he won a batting title. He didn't win a batting title. He hit 328 1 year, 325 1 year. He was second in the MVP vote in 1988. So I thought he won a batting title. Jeez, he didn't. Who did better than him the year he won the second MVP? Let's see if I can find it real quick. Oh, Wade Boggs. His teammate Wade Boggs hit 366 that year. Thanks, Wade.
Well, it's impressive. From 85 to 89, he hit he hit 300 or better every season.
Yeah, again, his career
That's impressive.
Really quickly, but from 87 to 89, to your point, his average season was 320, 18 home runs, 100 RBIs. So
yeah,
really, again, with that legacy there in Boston of Yastrzemski and Ted Williams and Jim Rice, like, it's a heavy burden to play left field for the Red Sox. But he was really good for a few years.
Yeah, and then this last one, I mean, this picture screams 80s to me, and it's Ron Kittle. Look at that picture.
You know what's so funny? What year would it have been? So 83. So 1986 and 87, I was on the Pony League White Sox, and those were our uniforms. Those terrible uniforms. They had that terrible hat. Ron Kittle is definitely somebody, if Jeff Mann's on the show, he could talk about, because Jeff Mann and Ted Schuster grew up in Chicago. And I know Jeff has told stories about Ron Kittle before, and I don't remember exactly what they are, so I can't relay them here. But Jeff has some stories about Ron Kittle. But yeah, Ron Kittle he had a couple nice years, hit some home runs. I guess I think he was a really good interview, if I remember correctly. I think that's what Jeff talked about, but maybe we can get Jeff to clarify that with the Ron Kittle. Armando, it's always fun opening up the packs. Thanks for doing that. I know we didn't get an autograph here, but that wasn't an option for us because they didn't do that back in 1990. But a lot of fun. I know you've again got a really busy couple days here coming up with the live streams for football and doing the basketball talk. Shedeur Sanders article coming out. Did you say there might be another one possibly too?
Yeah, we're gonna try to get the Milrow one out as well before the draft. So, yeah, keep an eye out for both. I'm gonna do both. Keep an eye out for both. One might go today, one tomorrow, both maybe tomorrow. But keep an eye out for those. I'll tweet them out. I'll put them in Discord like usual.
Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page to get signed up for the football product, the baseball product, basketball, hockey, NASCAR, PGA, MMA, horse racing, soccer, all that stuff covered. Send a note to support at fantasyguru.com. Armando, thanks for your time today. We appreciate it. We'll see you back here on this show tomorrow, and have a good live stream tonight talking NFL draft with the fellas at 7 o'clock Eastern.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me on.
You got it. Don't forget to go to FG. Click that Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. You can find this show cataloged, as well as Armando's podcast, Mind of Marsal. For Armando, I am Ray. It's been Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com.